Today is the first day of Elul, the beginning of the month when every day except for Shabbat we blow the shofar in preparation for Rosh Hashanah. And it's very clear that I am out of practice. But perhaps that is the reason we start a month early, not only to perfect our shofar blowing, but also to prepare for the high holy days. We're moving into a time when we need to make amends to other people, we need to make amends to God, we need to change our behavior, and these things take time. So maybe that's the reason why we start focusing on Rosh Hashanah a month ahead of time. There are actually 4 days on the Jewish calendar that are designated Rosh Hashanah, head of the year. They're like fiscal years. The first of Nisan is the Rosh Hashanah for kings. So the reign of a king in ancient Israel was counted starting on the first of Nisan. I suppose that's not unlike how the American president is inaugurated on the 20th of January, and then that's counted from that point forward as his administration. So kings, it started on the 1st of Nisan. Then you had the Rosh Hashanah for the animals, which is the 1st of Elul, which is today. And this was the day that counted for tithing your animals, tithing your flocks. Then we have Tu B'Shavat, which is the 15th of Shavat, which is the new year for trees. Fruit that was grown the year before, before Tu B'Shavat goes for that year. Anything after Tu B'Shavat goes for the following year. And of course, we have the Rosh Hashanah that we are all most familiar with, which is the 1st of Tishrei, the beginning of the new year. So years are counted from the 1st of Tishrei. Regarding the 1st of Elul as the new year for animals, some people have suggested that today, the 1st of Elul, should be a time to focus on animals and our relationship with them. Now, most Jews today don't have flocks of sheep and goats and cows, etc., and the original focus of the day, which was tithing your flocks, may or may not have much meaning, but we still have a relationship with animals, even if you don't have pets, even if you don't interact with animals on a daily basis. If you eat meat, then you should consider where your meat is coming from. There's a very big difference between animals that are allowed to run free and to range out in the fields and eat grass and be in the sunlight, etc., and animals that are raised in the horrific conditions of today's factory farms. This would also be a time to study the laws of how we're supposed to treat animals. If you have pets, for example, you should feed your animals before you feed yourself. At our house, this is a very strong thing. We have cats, we have chickens, and I make sure that they're fed before I have breakfast. Because I can get my own food. They can't go out and forage. I suppose the cats could go get mice, but still, I am responsible for these animals, so I feed them first. Now, some people might say this is turning the holiday upside down because it was not originally Animal Rights Day. It was a day for tithing animals to be slaughtered. But it's not the first time that a Jewish holiday has shifted focus depending on the situation that we're living in. For example, Shavuot used to be the Feast of First Fruits. It still is technically. But most of us do not have fields of fruits to harvest, and we don't have a temple to take them to if we do designate them as first fruits. However, on the same day is when the Torah was given at Mount Sinai, and so now we focus on the giving of the Torah on Shavuot. Similarly, Hanukkah focused originally on the miracle of the oil, and we still focus on that, but in modern times there's also been a switch over to seeing it as a day to celebrate our diversity, to stand up against assimilation, to stand up for the right to be Jews, etc. And again, that meaning can be there. So it's not the first time that perhaps if Rosh Hashanah, the New Year of the Animals, is switched away from the focus of tithing your flocks toward focusing on how we treat animals, that might be a meaning that's also involved in there too. So I agree that this would be a good time for us to look at the laws of Tsar Bali Chayim, the prevention of cruelty to animals, and how we should treat animals, and how we ourselves are interacting with animals in our lives.